Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and more importantly, welcome to the CDU that can control them all. That means if it's Airbus or Boeing, guys, this is the device that you want. It is easily configurable and absolutely does a wonderful job. Stick around to find out more about this. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly. Overkill simulations, the thrill will never die.
All right, you guys, so first up, a big shout out to a new company that seems to be hitting the field, PU Air Korea. Now, they have a few other devices, but this is the first time that I've heard of them, and I'm very, very impressed with what they've got here. So they did send this out to me for a review, guys, and so the review you're going to get, obviously, is my own opinions, guys. I never, ever take subscription commenting, if you will, so let's get right into it. First off, I want to make it very clear this device comes in at $349.99 right now, and then each additional panel is $99. I want you guys to first, before you start worrying about the price, think about how much it would cost for you to get a CDU or FMS that works for both Boeing and Airbus aircraft. Everything from the A320 ranging up to the A319, A321, and I believe the A380 is now supported. The Boeings, everything from the 737 to the 747 to the 777 to the 787. Okay, so keep all that stuff in mind as you guys start worrying about the price, and ask yourselves what it would take to get a CDU that does that. Now, the device is extremely well made. It's 3D printed, got a very nice solid structure with a nice display screen that comes with it, and you guys are going to see all this in action later on, and we're about to do an unboxing, so stay tuned for that, and you guys will see how it's all packaged and what it all looks like, as well as how the plates separate. But this is a device that I have been wondering why somebody hasn't done for a very long time, and I'm super excited to show this to you guys. This is a really, really well done configuration, and something that, like I said, I've been waiting for something like this because it makes so much more sense for flight simulation, especially if you're like me and you're constantly bouncing between aircraft. So now let's get into the unboxing so you can see everything that comes with it. All right, so as we get into the unboxing, you guys, everything was packaged very, very nicely. I have absolutely zero complaints whatsoever about the way the packaging was done. It's a nice, secure fit. Like, you know how you pick up a box and you can just feel everything's nice and tight in there? Here you guys can see the list of supported aircraft, and there is more. Inside the documentation, it does show you quite a bit of more aircraft, I should say. The packaging was done extremely well in the way that, first of all, that box I had already opened, so do not fret. That is not the way it shipped. That's just the way that I opened it, and then decided, hey, I should probably record this. So anyways, everything was wrapped individually, and then everything was very well secured. It was actually really interesting packaging. You guys are going to have to check this out here in a second when you see what it was wrapped in. I've never seen anything like that. It was like a cardboard mesh. It was really cool. So, obviously, as we get through everything, you know, you guys know how unboxings work. So, the thing that I will say right out of the gate, you guys, is when it comes to comparison of other products, they have it beat. I went through and I did the math on what it would take. I think the only exception is WinWing, but there's a catch to WinWing. WinWing, yes, they have Airbus, and yes, they're going to have Boeing, but the configurations won't match each and every aircraft. You won't be able to swap the plates, say, between a 737 and a 777. You're going to have a Boeing 737 MCDU, and I believe it's going to be sort of a default A320 CDU for the Airbus side of the fence. What you gain here is you gain a very easy, very modular configuration that you can very quickly swap out. And you guys are going to see what the swap out process looks like, so I'm not going to talk about that just yet, but it's very fast. The 3D printing was very, very well done on it. The contact feel on the buttons, it has a nice solid click to it, but doesn't require a ton of pressure. So it's a very smooth action, and you can also deliver a very rapid action, right? Has a nice off and on switch on the side of it, so that way you can turn the display off when you are obviously not using it. and that does obviously help with things like, you know, GPU allocation, whatnot. So all the rivets and things like that, or the bolts on top of it, those look like they're just for show. But again, the tactile feel of the buttons was absolutely fantastic. Now, because of the nature of how this works, they did have to put spacers and blinkers into the spaces that aren't used. But you can see this is a default Airbus configuration, again, as we were talking before, for something similar like the A320. Okay, and then getting into the panels, this is where this gets really, really cool. I really love the way they did this. Like I said, I've been waiting for something like this. It just makes so much more sense for flight simulation. Now, if you are building a one-to-one, true-to-scale cockpit, and you want everything to be, for example, let's say you're doing an exact replica of the A320. I've said it before, in that particular situation, I would recommend something like WingFlex. If you're going to spend the money and you're going to build all the panels and you're going to make your overhead panels and your full flight deck of an A320, then go to WingFlex, where you're going to get a quality that, in my personal opinion, at the moment isn't matched by anybody else. Okay, but neither is the price tag. The WingFlex CDU, for example, or MCDU, I believe, comes in, if I remember correctly, right around $600 US after everything's said and done. So it's expensive. Where this guy, you can pick it up for, by the way, $389, not $349, $389, and you get a swappable panel. So it really depends on what you're looking for. The construction, again, is very, very well done on both the panels and the main display box, the computer, if you will. We're going to call it that, the CDU. Here we have our 777 configuration, which I was super excited to see. This is a very awesome one. The one that we just looked at, I believe, was out of the 737. So this one I was really excited about, obviously, because I am releasing the 777 guide this week, so I'm super excited about that. It's finally done. But even having that nice beige tan color that they use inside of the 747 and the 777 was a pretty cool touch to it. Now, getting into the swapping of these, this is super, super simple, you guys. I was blown away at how easy this is. Now, getting into the removal of the panels, again, this is super, super easy. Just a quick abracadabra, give it a little shake, pull with all of your might, and watch what happens. There's our abracadabra, casting the magic spells, releasing the casting forces that are holding it together, and it literally pops apart. There are 6 magnets, 3 on each side, that hold the panels on. They snap right into place, but it's not a hard snap. It's a nice, gentle touch, so you don't have to worry about damaging the components. Recast your spell to make sure that it sticks, and boom. You can shake it, wobble it, nothing pops off. Not that you would ever have any reason to do that with the CDU, but I figured I would show it because I'm sure somebody was going to say, well, how well does it stick? If I can turn it upside down and shake it, that's good enough for me, because again, I can't imagine any scenario while flying that I would need to shake it. Here you can see the design underneath the panels. There's all your different contact switches that are laid out for each of the individual aircraft. The software, by the way, we'll get into here in just a minute as well, is very, very easy to work with, and I'll be demonstrating that as well. The setup and configuration was absolutely phenomenal, you guys. Really, really well done. So that is the basic gist of how the panels work. You pick the one you want and boom, off you go. Now getting into the packaging as far as the mounting options and cable options. The mounting option is the exact same of what I saw with the WingFlex, and it's a very, very effective system. It's a expandable and extendable, if you will. Looks like a sort of an L-shaped kind of tray. Here are some mounting screws or mounting connections if you want to do any kind of mounting in the back of it. I didn't worry about these. Again, it doesn't move at all in these little stands. These things are phenomenal. I was really excited when I saw this configuration again, because this is what the WingFlex used as well, so I've seen this before. It works really, really well. You just take your 2 legs out and you put them into whichever hole you want to give you the desired angle, and then you simply spread them open. It works really, really well. Just pull it to the distance that you want. It actually works for a number of different devices. So the nice thing about having these is if you have anything else that you could think of, like, hey, that would work with like a touch screen or a tablet, they work with that too. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But again, they stay just perfect enough where you don't have to worry about it moving. It doesn't wiggle, it doesn't slide, doesn't do anything. The rubber feet on the bottom of those stands works absolutely phenomenal. Now next, as far as the cabling goes, It uses USB-C to USB 2.0 as the connection from the back end of the CDU, as well as an HDMI port. Now, they were really thoughtful in this, and this is probably one of the few that I've seen do this at this price point. First, you have a display to HDMI adapter in case you only have display ports available. So that was real nice of them to include that. Here's a USB 2.0 to USB-C that goes in the back. And they have an easily, what I figure is approximately about 6 feet of HDMI cable. So the connection is very, very simple. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a USB it's a USB 3.0 to HDMI adapter. And I'm going to show you guys that here in just a second. So here's the adapter I use. I use the StarTech 4K HDMI to USB 3.0. Now these are pretty expensive. When I bought these, they were about $80 a piece. Now the game has changed quite a bit since then, guys. So you'll probably get away with things that are significantly cheaper now. I think I got these probably 3 or 4 years ago. I have 3 of them. But the thing I like about these is they work really, really well. The one thing that I will tell you is you have to be cautious about power delivery. They don't have their own power source, which means they're pulling directly off the 3.0 bus. So even with a powered USB hub, if you have a ton of devices in it, for example, I have a 120 watt USB hub, but I've got, I think, 14 devices that are currently plugged into it. So I have to be a little cautious of that and be mindful of that. If you start noticing things like, for example, the display isn't working or you're getting screen tearing, things like that, and you're using one of those, it is very likely a power issue. The way to determine that is plug your USB port directly into the back of your PC and verify everything works directly from. If it works directly from the PC itself, it's not the device, it's the hub. Okay, it's a power issue. And here is probably one of the most gratifying moments of any new electronic device. I don't know why that is so perfect, but it's like Christmas. There's no Christmas present in the world that can compare to pulling the glass seals off a new electronic device. I don't know why. So now let's go ahead and get into the software and usage of the device with inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Alright, so getting into the demo here, you guys, the software was very, very easy to install. We're going to just start up some electrical power, get the aircraft ready to go. But the software was very, very easy. You can see the screen is on. So I have powered on the CDU with the switch on the side of it. And I have obviously gotten us into the sim. Now I'm going to walk you guys through how we do everything else from here. It is a very, very easy to use software. But there are a couple of steps that are required in order to make it work. But it syncs up very, very fast. So first, we're going into windowed mode or display mode. That way you guys can see everything that I'm doing on the screen. We're going to launch the software. There's our software. Now, the first thing that we need to do is select the COM. So verify your aircraft. It automatically selected the 777 from PMDG. Check COM 6. That's going to be the port that your computer is using to communicate with the USB. Hit connect. And then we're going to hit the SPA button. It gives you 3 simple steps. The first is to pop out the CDU screen. Then you're going to hit execute. So coming back to the sim, right Alt, then left click. That's all we're going to do. Go back to the software and hit execute. And that's it. And guys, I know that display is very fuzzy for you guys. It was not for me. It's just the way the camera picked it up, but it was very nice and crisp, very easy to read. It is running a little bit of a lower resolution, but I think that might be because of my adapter. I was running at 640 by 480, but I think it can go higher than that, guys. I think it can rock 1920 by 1080. So don't fret on that, but the thing that I want you to focus on is the fact that it automatically scaled everything perfectly, aligned everything exactly where it needed to be, and check out the response time. I'm not going to go into too much detail as far as programming the MCDU or anything like that, just because you guys can see how quickly it's responding. Once you've worked one, you work them all. Like, yes, all the buttons worked, all the configuration works, and it worked very, very well. Now, one of the other things you are able to do is adjust the latency as well as turn down the volume. It had a click sound, which I'm not sure why they added the click sound. So there was a tick, tick, tick every time I hit a button. When I turned that volume down, the click sound was gone, and it was just like as it should be, and all you could hear was the buttons inside of the aircraft. So it works really, really well, and you guys can see the response time is beautiful. So PU Aircrew have done an absolutely wonderful job. All right, you guys, so now let's get into our final thoughts. Obviously, anything, everything, all things comes down to the price. So whether it be $349, $389, even $399, I would probably go for this one, and here is why. At $99 per panel, I will agree that the panels are a little on the high side for me, but I don't think that's unreasonable when you take into consideration that's coming from Korea. First off, you have shipping, you have tariffs, you have taxes, you have purchases, and they still need to make money, and they have quite the design. There's a lot of labor and effort that puts into this kind of configuration, this kind of setup, and so obviously that needs to be rewarded. The build quality is absolutely fantastic when it comes to the limitations of flight simulation without going into the realistic one-to-one scaling and one-to-one hardware and materials used. We're not looking for an exact replica here. What I am super excited about for this particular device is the ability to easily swap out between the different aircraft, even if this was not provided for me. And I'm really glad it was, because I had never heard of them, and I think that it's absolutely a company that deserves recognition. Their idea here and the concept here is exactly what is needed. You want to fly the 747, you pull the panel off and you drop the new one in. You want to go back to the A320, it's a quick pull and you drop the new one in. There's no changing hardware. There's no switching between different MCDOs. Oh, I got to plug this one in. I got to plug that one in. There's a lot of benefit that comes to simply quality of life. And that is probably the biggest thing on top of the quality of the build. The build quality is fantastic. The software is easy to use. You know, I was a little concerned when I saw that you had to pop out the screen. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to mess with sizing it and stretching it. But then when the software took care of it, all my worries went away. I'm like, nope, that's totally fine. I can live with a quick mouse click. I really can. Okay, so things like that, guys, it's worth the money in gold, in my opinion. It makes the simulation experience much faster. The software has the ability to do an auto connects and disconnects, and it recognizes right away what your aircraft is. So all you have to do is change the panel, do that quick pop out, and you're done. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but you also had the ability to switch the software to match the right CDU. Now, the one question that I do have for the developers is if you're able to have, for example, if you bought two of them, could you mirror the two different types of aircraft and have one be on the left and one be on the right? I am kind of curious about that myself, but that is it. I think the quality is right on point. The build is right on point. The features are something that I have personally long since desired. And so for me, the price point is very, very fair. I want these guys to get their money's worth. Again, the build is great. I really can't complain about it. I really can't. I was really impressed on how smooth this whole process was. And they look really nice. In my opinion, they feel really nice. And actually, one of the things that I really liked about the buttons was that they were very soft in the aspect that I didn't have to push hard at all to actuate them. So you didn't have to worry about anything moving. The stand was a beautiful configuration, and they give you permanent mounting options on the back of it as well. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful. Link to this product will be down in the description below. As always, stay safe and healthy, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.